Hi guys and welcome back. Our rig is finished and we can start to animate and just not rush into it. We better start talking about some principles of animation here. And basically what this is I'm talking about is my own experience as an animator, which is a couple of years right now. And yeah, you should learn those simple rules I talk about and use them and later bend them and expand them if you can. So the human eye itself is some kind of camera, and once it's focused, it's really strict on the movement, and it's following exactly what it's focusing, so to say. And humans tend to really focus on the eyes when you, for example, talking to someone or watching a movie, because you want to take a look at the mimic of the face and how the eyes are working to just interpret what emotions the other guy has or what the feeling is. So you're one step ahead of knowing what the other wants to say, for example. I would like to split this into technical and acting. So let's start with the technical stuff. We got an important tool for eye animation, and this is blinking. And this is really simple. Let me just lock those layers. Okay, so blinking. Very simple. Just add one keyframe, go 2 frames forward, close the eyes, and go 3 frames forward and restore them. So that's the main blinking. And again, this is my interpretation of it, because I thought that you have a muscle contraction here, so this is faster because this is just a release. So this is the result. Test it yourself. And yeah, that's mainly how I would animate a blink. You can of course do longer holds, so you keep 2 frames. So you have something like this. It's a bit more saying yes or agreeing to something. And you can play around with it. That's what I meant with bending the rules, or playing around with it. The second important thing with blinking is that it's generally something to protect the eyes. So it's a function to protect what you see, or to protect from the eyes from getting from losing fluidity, or when you start to cry, you blink a lot. So when you're in a relaxed state, you tend to not blink that much. But when you're more aggressive or nervous, you tend to blink, except you're like going on berserk mode. For some stylized characters, you don't blink at all. This could also be a tool for you. Another thing that's good for blinking, or where the human is blinking, is when he's turning around. Not just to protect the eyes, but if you try to turn the head 90 degrees without closing the eyes, you see that you can't just move it like this here. You will start to focus one point, because the eye or the brain doesn't like full view motion. So it's getting motion sick, like when you're on a ship or something and the whole view is moving sideways or something. So what we do is we tend to close the eyes just shortly before turning the head. So this would be something like this. No turning head without actually turning the head. Okay, that's enough. Oh, was my fault here. So what we do is we close the eyes, we turn and we open them. And of course this is just 2 keyframes, looks silly, so try to get some arcs in it. So at the nose, for example, you got a nice arc. It's just a bit too much. Something like that. So do this. Another thing for blinks would be like flirting, and there you would rather have the upper eye, like go there and move. But I wouldn't do that too much. And this is more for a cartoon, female, girly-like character. Men don't flirt like this. So what else do we got? Yeah, when you have a relaxed state, the eyelid tends to barely touch the upper side of the iris, so it would be like this. And for nervous states, I would go for to open them slightly. Depends on if you got a realistic character or character that's stylized. You can also, of course, when you what I do a lot is having something like this. So it's more like I don't know, trickster, hero, smile kind of thing, or have it like this. It's also looking good for stylized characters. It's like bursting out laughing or something. Yeah, that's mainly the technical part of the eyes, and for the acting, you have to imagine that the as I told you before, the eyes and the focus is really controlled here. When you're talking to someone and he's actually listening to what you say, he will not move the eyes away, or the eyes will kind of dart around like this and scan your face for emotions or something he can interpret it. But when you have someone and you are talking about animation or something where you need imagination, what happens is that the character, the guy you're talking to, as soon as he will start to imagine something, he will look like this or that. And there also happens to be some darting, as it's called. So the character will move and think. And this is because looking at a human, another human would distract the imagination. So you look into something, look into the distance, so you have more room to think. And as acting reference, as soon as the darting happens, this might be changing the way you think about something, realizing something, and this could really can really help. And yeah, we got a really good rig that's doing the eyelids very well. So you just have to move the joysticks here just a little bit, and you got tons of expressions, and it's really great. So let me just show you an example. I animated in, I don't know, half an hour or something. So this is our character and he's bored. He's bored, blinking sometimes, changing the direction, thinking about food. He realizes, oh, I don't have food, but I can buy a chocolate cake or something like that. So this is all those principles I've talked about in the last 10 minutes. So this can really, really help you when you're animating. So you have the blinking just to fill the empty space. It's not meant to be just random blinks. I tend to use a rhythm here and not just fill up the stuff, but have some meaning there. So you don't, I don't copy the keyframes all over the place. So here you have the protection, as I told you, the turn closing when it turned. Sometimes people tend to, if you have a realistic rig, people tend to not close the eyes entirely, just have them overlap the iris and the pupil. And here you see the darting, thinking about the food. And this is the anticipation move here. Anticipation and the shock. Oh my god, I got no food to eat, but I can buy a tasty cake. Yum, yum, yum. So this is, yeah, the acting here. Okay, that's mainly what I can tell you about animation. Another thing is, let me just get you the curves. That's really fast. Speaking of fast, the eyes are so fast, I always tend to use linear keys. So that's what I wanted to tell you about the curves itself. So I will save the file as a 09 animation, and you can take a look how I set up the curves and how the distances are. As I told you, blinking 2 to 3 or 2 to 4. Okay, and in the next lesson we will start with the production proven alternative rig I did for Gunslingers Industries in LA, and see you in the next lesson.